obviously this is all tied to the resurrection. So you don't have a kingdom without a resurrection. So don't think that you're going to go to the kingdom of heaven if you're not resurrected. No, we're all going to go into the grave, hell, the gravedom. But with that being said, in Judaism, and this is where your research and will probably give you different things, because Jews had different ideas. So when I say when here will these things happen, I have in mind the resurrection. The first thing you're going to find if you do a little bit of research, in the Old Testament idea, that it wasn't clearly defined whether the resurrection, which is tied to the kingdom, was a national thing only. In other words, only Israel would be raised, or it extended to other nations. They also were not clear. When I say not clear, I mean there's a lot of extra biblical stuff outside the Bible that Jews wrote, but that sort of contradicts, the biblical Old Testament account. So I'm talking here about books like Baruch and Enoch, which is a apocryphal book. So there, you got two thoughts. You got a physical resurrection, a literal physical resurrection, but some Jews thought it was only spiritual. The other thought was they were the second resurrection. Now, we get a lot of questions about, where are you getting the second resurrection? There's only one resurrection. The Old Testament really only has one resurrection. In other words, it doesn't give us a lot of information. I'm thinking of Daniel 12. But in books like Enoch, the apocryphal Jewish book, you do have two resurrections. God raising the just, the good, the saints, and later on he raises the wicked to judge. Also remember, in the Gospels themselves, we have a group of Jews called the Sadducees who believed in no resurrection. When they came to Jesus about, hey, Jesus, tell us about the resurrection. They're always testing Jesus. I love that. These guys had no afterlife. But then obviously when we get to the New Testament, we do have more information about the second resurrection. So if we go to Revelation 20, the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years ended. Basically, to give you a wider picture here, this is the resurrection day. We have information there about the rest of the dead not coming back to life yet, because we have to go through these 1,000 years fixing the world. There are charts on our website, and this is a couple of charts. Daniel's 70 weeks, research there about the timing or the things to look for as we approach the day. So you got the Daniel chart, and you got the Jesus timeline, which is obviously working off Daniel in Matthew 24. And you also have the chart I did, which is, this is sort of the Jewish scheme. So the Jews are working off a present evil age, kingdom of God begins, and Satan is bound and all that, and then the age to come. So that's pretty much the New Testament idea. That's what they had in mind, that sequence of events. So you have the present evil age, where whoever dies during this present evil age, we go to the grave, or as Paul calls it, we're asleep. And then the kingdom of God comes, or begins, I should say, and then the age to come. The Olivet prophecy or sermon in Matthew 24 gives us the timing there. So you got general signs in Matthew 24, if we go through that. And you have false messiahs. Remember, the first section is about false messiahs, wars, pandemics. Then you got the Great Tribulation, abomination and all this, and earth and heavenly tremors. I don't think that's spiritual, that's an actual physical happening. Because remember, Hebrews 1, I take that literal. So there's a change coming, and it's obviously going to be seen and felt. Then you obviously have the second coming at the end of that chapter, starting verse 20. It looks like there's a war in heaven, because remember, Revelation talks about Jesus riding the white horse, and remember his clothing stained, remember, in blood. It sounds like there's some kind of confrontation there as he's coming down, or before he comes, probably getting rid of all those satanic cosmocrator forces up there. There are demonic angels and stuff up there. And then he sends the angels, remember, to the 4 points to gather the church, the international church. And then he defeats Satan and binds Satan. He doesn't destroy Satan. Satan is bound.